Crazy thing is this is the fourth time in a row that Elon Musk and SpaceX have failed a launch of a Starship prototype. Have you gotten on Clubhouse yet? On the Clubhouse app? I think it has like 470,000 ratings on the Apple Store already. I know it's not on Android. Yeah, let's just get right into it. So welcome back to Michael on the mic. Clubhouse, they just released new direct payments that let you pay creators, and creators get 100% of whatever you give. That's unlike most platforms out there. Right now, a lot of the platforms, they give creators like 50% on YouTube. Actually, all the revenue generated on YouTube is 50% goes to creator, 50% goes to YouTube. That's how YouTube makes money. But Clubhouse, with these direct payments, they're different than like Google, than YouTube ads, like pre-roll and mid-roll ads. This is just direct payments, similar to when you watch YouTube Live and you can like donate money, similar to that. But with Clubhouse, their new direct payments have just been released, only to a select few creators, not to everyone yet. It's only still in the testing phases. But essentially, the way it works is anyone can now use the feature to pay a creator, but not all creators have it. So it's starting with a small test group, and the way it works, to pay a Clubhouse creator who can receive payments, who's eligible, all you do is you tap on their profile, then tap on the send money button, and then choose how much you want to send to them. When you first do this, you're going to have to pay a small processing fee every single time. It's Stripe's fee. Stripe is like a payment processing platform, and they do like 2.8%. So something around 2.8% you'll have to pay in addition to whatever you donate. And then also, if it's your first time to pay someone, you're going to have to add a credit or debit card to your account. So essentially, it just looks something like this, where it'll say someone's name, you click send money, and that is how it would work. Then you could confirm it. And this is a great move, in my opinion, because right now Clubhouse is getting a lot of stiff competition from Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of other platforms out there. And they've needed to do something to sort of solidify themselves as a platform that's going to be around for years to come. So right now, they added this new monetization feature, and in my opinion, it was essential. The only way that Clubhouse is going to be around is if creators want to put content on the platform. The only way creators are going to do that versus moving to another platform is if they can make money. This is how a lot of people make a living, doing, let's say, if they're on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook videos, and if now they're trying to do an audio platform, well, they're going to need to make sure they can make money. There's obviously other ways that creators can monetize, like with merchandise and brand deals and things like that. But the only way that people would stay on Clubhouse long term is if they can build like a business and make money out of it. So this is the first step for Clubhouse in the right direction with their monetization policies. They're obviously going to add more over time, making it easier for creators, allowing, first of all creators to use it. Clubhouse announced previously a creator accelerator program called Clubhouse Creator First, which took 20 aspiring hosts and creators and helped them build their audience, monetize their shows, and things like this. But now this new direct payments feature allows creators to monetize in another way, and it gives them even more of an incentive to stay rather than going to Twitter or to Facebook or to another platform that's starting to offer audio as well. Still, the downside with Clubhouse is that they are only available on iOS. They should have Android out pretty soon, but this was really exciting in my opinion. I'm not on Clubhouse yet, but a couple people have been asking, so we might start on Clubhouse pretty soon. Let me know. We can talk about tech news, stocks, business, and things like that. That's what it would be mostly about. Now on to PayPal. PayPal just launched its crypto checkout service. First company to do something like this. This was really great news in my opinion. This is game changer because right now PayPal has started to allow US consumers to pay with cryptocurrency, with their cryptocurrency holdings like Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So any crypto that was in your PayPal digital wallet will now be able to use when paying tens of millions of online merchants. And they say it's going to roll out to all of its 29 million merchants in the coming months. Right now, it's to a smaller group of these, but this is the first time that we're seeing a major company seamlessly integrate a checkout service where you can actually pay with Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and just cryptocurrencies in general. And that is a major, major move for Bitcoin and Ethereum and the adoption of cryptocurrencies. And this is just solidifying its place. This is showing that Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Ethereum's not going anywhere. Like these cryptocurrencies are not going anywhere anytime soon. And the president and CEO of PayPal told Reuters that this is the first time you can seamlessly use cryptocurrencies in the same way as a credit card or a debit card inside your PayPal wallet. So this is a really, really big deal. They announced this pretty shortly after Tesla announced they were accepting Bitcoin. You could pay with cryptocurrency. So this was announced pretty shortly after that. And now we're starting to see all these major companies make that move, make that transition into allowing people to pay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, things like that. In my opinion, like right now, I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think a lot of people prefer just to own it as an asset, make money from it. Because right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're still pretty volatile and people have been making a lot of money. If you owned Bitcoin a year ago, you have multiplied your money pretty significantly. At one point, Bitcoin was around $10,000, even under $10,000, I believe, within the last 12 months. So some people have 6x their money from where they had it. So I don't think this is going to be too popular right now, but I do think people are going to try it. Some people are going to try it, but I think majority of people are going to be investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrencies out there. I think some people might just try this just to say they can do it. I don't know how popular it really would be unless you have like tens of millions of dollars in Bitcoin and Ethereum or some sort of cryptocurrency. If you have like a lot of money, I think you might, if most of your money is in crypto, well then you probably would pay using this as well. Switching gears, Pixel 5 just reportedly got a big GPU performance boost with its new update, and this affects a lot of different devices. And Google said that they had started rolling out the April Android security update for its Pixel phones, and with this security update, it looks like it brought a lot of different performance improvements as well. So right now, AnandTech previously found that Pixel 5 had a much worse GPU results than other phones using the same Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G chip. And they said the performance was really not as good compared to other phones out there using the same exact chip. But now he looked at it again, did another review, and says that the Pixel 5, the performance has essentially been doubled in terms of GPU performance from the review's initial figures, and now it's in line and even better than a lot of the other 765G phones out there. So while benchmarks don't really, they don't translate into real world results, it's not going to perform exactly how the benchmark does, it is a good sign that it is faster than it was. It's definitely faster, performing better than it was before. And they said that these performance upgrades in this security update is going to be helping certain graphic intensive apps and games on the Pixel 5, 4A, and 4A 5G. They also said that it's also going to affect some Pixel 3 and Pixel 4 generation phones. A couple of updates there as well. So this is really exciting. Some GPU performance upgrades in this new security update. Now on to Yelp. There's been a lot going on recently with people searching for Asian-owned businesses, and a lot in the news about either just now there's been a lot of news about Black Lives Matter, Asian owned businesses, Asians in general in the US, how people are treated. And now Yelp is making it a lot easier for users to search for Asian owned businesses, because they said in the last month, the search for Asian owned businesses increased by 130% in just the month of February 2021. So as a result of this, now what they're doing is they added a new feature where business owners can edit their listing on Yelp and select the attribute that says Asian owned business. Recently, they rolled out new features that allowed business owners to identify as like a Black owned business or a woman owned business, and now they've added the Asian owned business attribute as well. So obviously this has been something a lot of people have been searching for recently. They said it's up 130% in terms of search results, and adding features like this, very easy for Yelp to do, but it makes it more user friendly because people are already searching for it anyways. And it just shows that Yelp is trying to stay, ahead of the curve, stay progressive with everything, and make sure they're offering what people want to see. Because some people just want to support businesses based on what groups they're associated with. If they're Asian owned or if they're Black owned, woman owned, people might choose that business over another one just because of that single attribute. So, great move by Yelp, in my opinion. Speaking of new features, Impossible just launched its first national video ad campaign, and they try to decouple the phrases plant from meat. So, its burger is still plant-based, but they are sort of treating it in this advertisement campaign as if it's just meat. If you look at this commercial, it appears like they are just talking about a regular burger. It's like 12 patties with cheese on it, and it just looks like a regular burger, and they don't mention anything about plants until that very last second. You see that very last second, they slap a sticker that says made from plants on it. So other than that, it seems like they're trying to shift away from solely focusing on the plant-based community, and they're trying to really attack the general, the broad community of people who eat meat. It seems like that's what they're trying to do, because now everyone who eats Impossible meat already, like Impossible plant-based meat, what they do is they already know that it's vegetarian. They already know that it's made from plants. So I guess what they're trying to do is say to people who eat meat in general that this is the same thing. That's what they're trying to do, in my opinion. They're trying to they're trying to attack a larger market. Right now, they're in the plant-based community. They're trying to grow, and in order to do so, I guess they're trying to get away from just being seen as a plant-based company and trying to make people who eat meat think it's just like meat. That's what it seems like. So according to Jesse Becker, their senior VP of marketing, they say that the thing that makes our brains think that something is meat is the taste. And since Impossible tastes like meat, and when you chew it, it feels like meat, that's all that people need to know. So really, they're saying that they're trying to advertise it that way to make people who normally eat meat and from, animal meat, that they want them to think that, okay, Impossible is the same thing. It tastes the same. It feels the same. It looks the same. So they want to just make people think that it's really not different. Only difference is it's made from plants rather than from animals. So that's what their focus is on this new advertising campaign. My opinion, I think it's actually going to do extremely well, because people who normally just eat meat from animals, they would look at this and just say, wow, this is just a regular burger. It looks like a normal hamburger commercial. It's like overly exaggerated 12 patties with cheese on it, and people might want to try that. Versus the plant-based community, maybe they're not so thrilled about this, but either way, they still know what it's made from. So I don't think it's going to detract any people who are vegetarian or vegan from eating this. And I also think So I don't think it's going to hurt that market, but I think it's just going to open them up to a brand new market and really help them get into the general population a little bit better. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of this commercial? How it looks? It really just looks like a McDonald's commercial or like any regular company that sells burgers. It looks like that sort of commercial. But we'll see how this plays out for them. I think it's a great idea. Switching gears a bit, electric vehicles have been doing extremely well all over the news, and now the electric Chevy Silverado is coming with a 400 plus mile of range, and they officially announced that they will be having an electric Chevy Silverado. So currently, GM is they're on track to build 30 new EVs, an entire new EV lineup within the next couple of years. That's their goal. Their goal is to have all EVs, and they want to phase out gas and diesel powered vehicles entirely, not sell them at all by 2035. So they're saying by 2025, they're going to have an entire lineup. By 2035, they want to get rid of selling any gasoline vehicles. And right now, according to Chevy, they said that they are going to be officially releasing the Chevy Silverado electric. We don't know all of the exact features. We don't know the exact timeline. So details are a little bit thin right now, but they said what they will not do is just stuff a battery into a Chevy Silverado and call it an electric vehicle. They said that's not what they're doing. They said they are really going to build this from the ground up, and they're going to use the new battery technology they have called Ultium batteries. They said this allows them to have longer lasting batteries that are lighter, that charge faster. That's the new technology. And they said they're also going to be giving it's going to have around 400 miles of range. That's a promise they made. And they say that they're really going to be looking at everything that people like about the Chevy Silverado right now, take those features and put them directly into the new electric Chevy Silverado, but add an entire new set of features for electric vehicles and things that people will like as well. So really, they're trying to build this from the ground up. It's not just going to be a Chevy Silverado with a battery. It's going to be completely built from the ground up, remodeled, new features, but still have all the same features that people love about the Chevy Silverado right now. So this is pretty exciting, in my opinion. Chevy Silverado is one of their top vehicles that they sell, and people love it. So we'll see how this continues to come, how this continues to play out. They do have a lot of competition in that space. Tesla Cybertruck, Rivian R1T. Ford is, we're going to be releasing an electric F-150. So there is a lot of competition, but I think their approach to building an entirely, building it from the ground up, not trying to just stick a battery in a current Chevy Silverado, I think that's obviously the best approach to go about doing this. Switching gears a bit, some Bitcoin news. Bitcoin. Bloomberg came out with a price prediction for Bitcoin in Q2 of this year, within the next couple of months before June 31st. They're thinking that Bitcoin could reach $80,000 per coin. And they give some pretty good reasons, some pretty interesting reasons for this. They said, so from Bloomberg Intelligence, it predicted that this quarter, they predict Bitcoin's going to be going closer to $80,000 per coin than to $40,000. They don't see the chances of it going back to $40,000 per coin being high, but they see it going to $80,000 being very high. So according to the report, it says the adoption of the benchmark crypto as the global reserve asset has crossed the mainstream threshold as we see it, and the market tide is rising. This scenario has switched the focal point of our 2021 analysis toward more technical indicators from a wider range of fundamental and on-chain metrics in the past few years. They say a more likely scenario is to breach $60,000 resistance, head towards $80,000, and a backup toward $40,000 support is less likely in their view. So this came from one of Bloomberg's analysts who is a Bitcoin bull, and obviously, it makes sense, but right now, what a lot of people are seeing, what Bloomberg is seeing, what analysts are seeing at JP Morgan, I spoke about a price prediction from them the other day. They're seeing now that a lot of institutions are starting to put their money in Bitcoin. And on top of this, PayPal has rolled out their new Bitcoin feature where they allow people to pay with Bitcoin at over 25 million merchants online. And because all of this, now really Bitcoin has been solidified as its place. Whether that's going to be a currency, most people don't think so. Most people think it's going to be treated as an asset. But we're already starting to see that large institutions are allocating portions of their balance sheet into Bitcoin. And as they continue to do this and more companies continue to do this, there's going to drive the price of Bitcoin up. There's only a limited supply of Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 22 million Bitcoin ever mined. A lot of these, have been lost. People have lost their passwords, things like that. So as more and more institutions pour billions of dollars into Bitcoin, it's going to continue to drive the price up. And people are seeing that, analysts are saying that there's always going to be a place for jewelry and coin collections, but they're arguing that a lot of indicators are pointing to Bitcoin replacing gold as a store of value in investors' portfolio. They're saying there's always going to be a place for gold, but they're seeing that Bitcoin is becoming a store of value and something that is uncorrelated to the stock market, to what is going on in economies across the world. They're saying it's really uncorrelated asset that hedges against, different sort of assets out there. So right now they're predicting it could go to $80,000. Much more likely it'll hit $80,000 within the next 2-3 months rather than hitting $40,000. They don't see it retracing. They see it doing very well within the next couple of months, which is a great sign. And I agree with them. I think Bitcoin is replacing gold, and I think Bitcoin as like a store of value, I think we're going to see Bitcoin continue to go, and I think it's very possible for us to see it even hit $100,000 very, very soon. Speaking of Bitcoin, though, the Sacramento Kings, they took a major step in the direction of adopting Bitcoin, and they're offering to pay salaries of anyone in the organization in Bitcoin. And they're saying they'll offer Bitcoin salary option to all players, all people working in the organization. Anyone in the Sacramento Kings organization can receive their payments, their salary in Bitcoin, including players. This is according to a tweet just the other day and according to the official Sacramento Kings page. This move is going to strengthen the Kings as being one of the most forward-thinking organizations in the NBA in terms of adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And they had begun actually selling everything from tickets to hot dogs for Bitcoin in 2014. And in 2019, they launched a reward token for fans. But this is the first team that's offering to pay entire salaries with Bitcoin. And they didn't explain, we don't have the specific details on how they would go about actually paying players and staff and how they would actually facilitate these payments. But we know, according to CoinDesk, according to the Sacramento Kings, that they are offering it. Now, some big news with this was that not Sacramento Kings, but players getting paid in Bitcoin. The NFL player Russell Okung, he made headlines last year for becoming the first NFL player to convert some of his $13 million salary into Bitcoin. He used Zap's Strike product to convert dollars to Bitcoin. We don't know if any players are going to take this option from the Sacramento Kings, but it is an option now. Mark Cuban, who's been a big proponent of Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, everything cryptocurrency, he didn't think this was too impressive. He said any player can convert their income to any crypto they choose. So paying in Bitcoin or any crypto doesn't really do anything. I'd rather just keep my Bitcoin. I don't know. Maybe he's just upset because, the Dallas Mavericks allow people to buy merchandise and tickets using cryptocurrency. So maybe he was planning on doing this and he wanted to be first. I don't know, but it is exciting. A lot of the things like when Dallas Mavericks offered and Mark Cuban allowed people to buy merchandise and tickets with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it's the same thing. They could have just converted their cash into Bitcoin and then done the tickets. So it's the same sort of thing. They're just allowing more options to people. And people like when they have, the option to pay in different currencies. It's like if you went to a store and you could pay in currencies from all over the world, and let's say you're traveling, it makes it easier. So some people like that. Next up is SpaceX. So Elon Musk came out and revealed what made SpaceX's Starship SN11 prototype explode. Crazy thing is this is the fourth time in a row that Elon Musk and SpaceX have failed a launch of a Starship prototype. They said that this is the fourth one in a row where there's been some major issue that has happened. Recently, we saw a video of the SN10 that launched into the sky. It landed. It looked like it landed perfectly, but then a couple minutes after it landed, it exploded. It just exploded into like pieces caught on fire. That was the SN10. The SN11, they said it was launched on a foggy day. Just the other, that wasn't an issue though. And then it reached the altitude it was trying to reach, a couple miles in the sky, came back down, and when it was coming back down, all of a sudden, when it was falling back to Earth, what happened is they in the fog, they just saw a glowing red ball, and then they saw debris start flying everywhere. And, because it was foggy, they couldn't see exactly what happened, but on the way down, that's what happened. The SN8 exploded, the SN9 exploded on hard impact. SN10, it landed, then it exploded. Now SN11 didn't land and it exploded in the sky. So all of these have not done too well, but Elon Musk, he came out and explained what exactly happened. And he said that what happened was in the ascent phase, transition to horizontal and control during free fall were good. It went up in the air, it transitioned into free fall, all of that was good. But he said a relatively small CH4 leak led to fire on engine 2 and fried part of avionics, causing hard start attempting landing burn in CH4 turbopump. This is getting fixed 6 ways to Sunday. So essentially, he explained how they're already making changes. They don't seem too worried about this. People get more worried about these tests than he does because they have so many more rockets that are already lined up to be tested. They were supposed to have SN12, 13, and 14 to be launched, but essentially they threw those out, and SpaceX is jumping right ahead to SN15, which reportedly includes a lot of different upgrades that Musk is very excited to get rolled out and tested. So they're skipping SN12, SN13, and SN14, and going straight to the SN15. So SN15 is already assembled, being tested, and it's ready to go to the launch pad so it can launch, and we'll see what happens here. The hope is that this would be the first one to fully survive a takeoff and landing. They've either had a hard impact and exploded. They've landed and exploded, which was the SN10, and then the SN11 didn't land and it just exploded in midair. So you can see it's just a glowing ball of red light in the air with all the fog. So we'll see how this one plays out. Hopefully the SN15 does much better than others have in the past. Speaking of something crazy, the U.S. government will pay people up to $500,000 to design a less annoying face mask. So what is happening right now is, ever since the pandemic first started, it has been a struggle to get some people to wear face masks. Either, like, I have glasses and they fog up my glasses no matter what mask I wear. Even if I put it higher up and put my glasses above it, glasses seem to always fog up, except with like maybe one face mask that I have. But right now, the thing is there's a lot of different face masks out there. Some are stylish, some are not as protective as they say they are. There's a lot of different designs out there. But the U.S. government's Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, which is BARDA, has announced a competition to design the next generation of face masks with the potential for $500,000 total prize waiting for winners. Essentially, it's not a $500,000 total prize because what they're doing is there's 2 different rounds. The first round, they're picking 10 winners, and they're going to give each of them $10,000 to help build prototypes of the masks. After that, then they're going to pick up to 5 winners for the second phase, the second round, and that's where they'll distribute $400,000. So really, the total prize is possible to be $400,000, but likely if they pick multiple masks, it could be as low as about $75,000 per winner. That's not a small amount of money, but it's not the $500,000 they're talking about. Essentially, for the first phase, what people are going to be doing is the first phase is focused on like actual schematics for building the proposed masks. People don't have to build them, but they just need to have the schematics to how to build them. And the whole point of this is to work on either redesigning existing masks or focus on new technologies, new materials that can be incorporated in masks. Those are what they are. They say that right now masks irritate your skin, could become uncomfortable to wear, fog up glasses, get in the way of communication. People can't always hear you because you're muffled. So that's what the goal of this competition is to solve a lot of those issues that they have been hearing about, to make sure that people stay safe, people wear masks, because even after people get vaccinated, it's still going to be that people are wearing masks for a while in the future. Here's a crazy story with India. India just announced that they are offering more than $1 billion in cash to each semiconductor company that sets up manufacturing units in the country as it seeks to really build out and grow its infrastructure and its just technology industry. So they said what they're doing is they want to build on its smartphone assembly industry, strengthen its electronic supply chain, and the way they're doing this is by offering $1 billion in cash to each semiconductor company that sets up manufacturing units in the country. So Prime Minister Modi, he says that this is like a Make in India drive. This is like what the initiative is called. And it's helped to turn India into the world's second biggest mobile manufacturer after China. New Delhi believes it is time for chip companies to set up in the country as well. And this step, they've tried in the past to get semiconductor chip companies to build in India. But the problem is that a lot of the time people and companies were concerned about infrastructure, not the best infrastructure in India. They've been concerned about bureaucracy, poor planning, unstable power supply, and just other issues that are currently in India. So they were deterred from doing this. They didn't want to establish large factories in the country. But now this new initiative is already getting a lot of positive feedback from it and offering more than $1 billion to each company, which will set up fabrication units, chip fabrication units, is a pretty big incentive. And you got to remember, the more companies that start setting up in India, the better the infrastructure is going to be, and the better the power grid, everything's going to have to be in order to accommodate these companies. Obviously, the government is really pushing for this, and they really want it. So all these issues that companies are concerned about, I think will be solved, and people will... I think India and Prime Minister Modi, they're going to take the steps they need to make sure companies feel comfortable building factories there. We've seen them already reach out to Tesla, not for semiconductors, but building car manufacturing plants. They are really trying to get all these new technology companies that are growing rapidly. They're trying to get all of these different companies to come to India. They've made the attempt with Tesla. They've now making an attempt with semiconductor and chip companies. They are really trying. And I think this initiative, $1 billion, is probably one of the smartest things they could do in terms of getting companies incentivized to go. Because that is a lot of money. And that could actually really incentivize some major corporations to come set up shop in India. Speaking of semiconductors, though, Ford has to stop producing the Ford Raptor for 2 weeks. They're going to be shutting down their Dearborn, Michigan F-150 plant for 2 weeks as a result of a semiconductor shortage. We've been seeing with Taiwan Semiconductors, there was a fire in a factory, and there's been a big semiconductor shortage regardless across the world over the last year and a half, and things are getting worse. So as more electric vehicle companies, more car companies, more computer and phone companies, as all of these companies are continuing to ramp up production, they need semiconductors and chips. And with the chip shortage, now F-150 Ford and their F-150 factory in Dearborn, Michigan is suffering significantly, having to shut down for 2 entire weeks starting April. It started April 5th, and it's going to go for 2 weeks after that. In addition to that, all overtime shifts have been canceled for the month of April, May, June. All 3 months, all overtime shifts have been canceled. And not only is this going to, make some of the workers, hurt some of the workers who are currently at these facilities, but it's also going to really impact Ford's revenue for 2021, because Ford F-150 and the Ford Raptor are some of their best-selling vehicles. And having to shut down a factory for 2 whole weeks, that is not something you want to see, especially now when now is the time that car companies, especially if they're combustion engine, they need to be selling a lot of vehicles, because companies are starting to switch over to electric. And if you have a popular model that is gasoline powered, you need to make sure you keep getting these out to consumers who want them. Obviously, gas powered vehicles aren't going away anytime soon, not within the next couple of years, but as companies are starting to transition into electric vehicles, it's important to keep up the brand recognition, the tie that a lot of people have to these brands. So it's very important, in my opinion, and this is going to impact their bottom line. They're probably going to lose a couple $2 billion from this shutdown. Probably, I've read figures of $1.5–2 billion from all the chip shortages and the shutdowns for GM, for Ford. There's a lot of impacts on their revenue from these chip shortages. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. It's too soon to know the exact financial damage, but the company said that they will be announcing what the impact is going to look like on their April 28th earnings call. So we'll hear then. But until then, shutting down a factory for 2 weeks, not a good sign, no matter what industry you're in. If you're making computers, you're making cars, doesn't matter. If you have to shut down a factory for 2 weeks, that's a lot of time. That's going to have a big impact on revenue. So problem with semiconductors is that these chips play such an important role in vehicles, from navigation to Bluetooth to windshield wipers, to the infotainment systems. There's so many different things that have these chips in them. And then that's just for gasoline-powered vehicles. When you talk about electric vehicles, there's even more. So they're very important. You can't make the vehicle without them. And so this is going to have a pretty big impact on it. Switching gears a bit, this story is something I thought was super interesting, and it's that researchers can now collect and sequence DNA from the air. It's something that they called eDNA, and that's like environmental DNA. Essentially, what is going on is that for the very first time ever, researchers have collected animal DNA from air samples. So they've been able to collect human DNA from air samples and other animal DNA. Because previously they have been able to collect plant DNA from the air, because a lot of plants emit pollen and they're able to collect those fairly easily. But this is the first time that they've ever been able to collect animal DNA from the air. And they said, according to a researcher, they said what we wanted to know is whether we could filter eDNA from the air to track the presence of terrestrial animals. This is according to one of the leading researchers. They said we were interested in whether we could use their DNA whether we could use their air DNA as a way to assess what species were present in a burrow or a cave where we could not easily see it or capture what was inside of the cave. So it's a way to be able to detect what animals live in different areas without having to actually capture the animals or without actually having to be able to easily access it. They could easily just collect air samples from either a cave very deep down or in a tunnel or in something that isn't easily accessible. They could easily do that. And they said that the demonstration in the study, in like their first proof of concept experiment, what happened was they tried to collect DNA from the air in an animal facility housing a model organism, the naked mole rat, and the researchers detected both human and mole rat DNA in the air from the mole rat enclosures. So that makes sense. There's a lot of humans working in these facilities, so that's why they got human DNA and the mole rat DNA. So they were able to do that, and essentially the way it works is they have filters that they vacuum air into, and then they collect the DNA from these filters that they have vacuumed the air through. So pretty big deal. This is the first time animal DNA has ever been collected from air samples. They explain how it's not going to be, they're not going to be able, they don't think, to calculate population sizes. So for example, if they want to see what animals are living in a cave, or they're not going to be able to collect, they're not going to be able to actually determine how many animals are living there, but they're going to be able to determine what species, what types of animals are there. They're not going to be able to tell entire populations, though. So pretty interesting stuff. One day they'll probably be able to do even more with this. Capturing DNA from the air is pretty unheard of, and it is pretty amazing. Switching gears, White Claw. White Claw is making its biggest push ever into advertisement space with their biggest marketing push ever, as the hard seltzer space really starts to heat up. So White Claw has built a brand really with very little advertising. All of their if not all of their successful advertisements and advertising campaigns have not come from paid ads or anything like that, but they've come just from regular, everyday people posting on social media about White Claw. And right now, it's getting to the point of the year, spring, summertime, when usually you see a big spike in sales for these hard seltzer companies like White Claw. This is the time of the year when their sales really, really start to take off. Like winter is a slower time for them, but now it's starting to really take off. And the reason they're really doing one of their biggest ad campaigns ever, it's their first global ad campaign. The reason why they're doing this is because there's a lot of companies who have entered the hard seltzer space. We see Coca-Cola. They recently announced a new competitor for White Claw. There's also Truly, which is out there, and there's a number of companies out there that are starting to not take away market share, but they're starting to enter the market. Right now, White Claw is still the clear leader in the space. They have over 50% market share in the hard seltzer space. They have 51% market share. Truly has 25% market share. Anheuser-Busch, they have about 9%. And now there's also Coca-Cola and a number of other companies that are entering the space. So sales for White Claw in the last 52 weeks, last year, have been record-breaking. They had over $4.41 billion for hard seltzer sales combined. I mean, the last 52 weeks have been record-breaking. $4.41 billion of hard seltzer has been sold in the last 52 weeks, better than it's ever been in the past. And now, with White Claw being the leader, they want to make sure they stay there and they solidify their place as the clear winner in the hard seltzer space. So they're rolling out this advertising campaign worldwide for their first ever global advertising campaign, and the campaign is called Let's White Claw. They're planning to launch in 10 new markets, unnamed. We don't know them yet, but 10 new markets in 2021. And this is by far their biggest, most expensive advertising campaign ever. The way they're doing it is they're not trying to just do like a traditional advertising campaign. Their whole purpose behind it, the whole reason behind it is that the brand was built on social media, people posting videos, and really it grew that way. It was built on the back of social media. So they're going to be utilizing this, and the videos and ads they're going to see, they don't have any sort of story. They don't have any sort of beginning and end. They're just based on pure like fun, pure uncomplicated fun. They're going to be videos of people skateboarding in a pool, of balloons, sitting around a house party, roller skating, in a convenience store, and just having fun. Because they said it's not like they're trying to make these ads have a beginning, end, a whole story to them. They just want to show these moments of people drinking White Claw, having fun. So something I think is going to do extremely well. White Claw is clearly the leader in this space. And I think their approach to this marketing campaign is obviously the right approach. They're not trying to change anything. They're just trying to help show people who maybe aren't familiar with the White Claw what is already going on in the social media space with the company. Really, it seems like they're just looking at creators and people who already post videos with White Claw doing things and reaching out to those people and pushing for those moments. So I think this is a great idea. I think this will be very successful, but we'll see what happens. That's really all I got for you guys. A lot of different stories today. I thought there were some great stories in this episode, but hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I did. Don't forget, you can get 4 free stocks, free money, valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.